Hello students, welcome to Apni Vidya. I'm your physics mentor Garvi Singh Rathod, and today we are here with a new chapter which is electricity. When we talk about electricity, the word electricity is comprised of electric, in means electra, and electra is a Greek word which means electron. What does electron means? Electron. So in electricity we are going to discuss about the flow of electrons, how electron flows, or we can say how charges flow. We are going to study in this chapter. So moving on, I would like to tell you about a scheme which our government has launched on electricity is Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, or we can also tell it as, it was also named as Saubhagya. This scheme was named under Saubhagya scheme. Under this scheme they want to electrify all the rural as well as urban areas, so that none of the areas will be left where electricity can't be provided. So I hope this is the new thing for you, and we are covering the current affairs also. So we would like to start our chapter. So we are going to discuss about, first we are going to study about electric charges. We are going to study what charge is, what are its property, what are its types. Then we will move on to the properties of electric charge. Then we will study about Coulomb's law. Then we will head on to study of electricity and conductors and insulator. Lastly, we will study about electric current, which is charges in motion. So we are going to start our first topic, which is electric charge. When we talk about charge, charge is a fundamental property of a matter. As you know, mass is also a fundamental property of matter, same as charge is also a fundamental property of matter. Charge is the property of a matter due to which it produces and experiences electrical and magnetic effects. Since charge produces electrical effects, electrical fields are produced by a charge, we are going to study that magnetic effects are also produced by charge. Whenever there is a flow of charge, there are some of the magnetic effects. So when we talk about charge, there are two types of charges. In nature there are generally two types. First is positive charge and second is negative charge. Electron and proton are not charges. Electron and proton are not the charges. Electron and protons are termed as charge carriers. Electrons are termed as negative charge carriers, whereas proton are termed as positive charge carriers. When there is a no charge or none charge carrier is called neutron. So generally we have two types of charges, positive charge and negative charge, and those who carry negative charge are called electron and those who carry positive charge are called proton. So electron and proton are the charge carriers, they are not the charges. I hope this is clear to you. When we talk about charge, we should know its unit. So the SI unit of charge is coulomb, which is represented by capital C. It is, the charge is measured in microcoulomb, nanocoulomb, picocoulomb. Microcoulomb means 10 to the power minus 6 coulomb, nanocoulombs means 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb, and picocoulombs means 10 to the power minus 12 coulomb. So we can measure charges in coulomb. Its SI unit is coulomb. Moving on, we are going to study about the properties of electrical charges. When we talk about electric charges, they have some of the properties, and its first property is quantization of charge. Charges are always quantized. The word quantization means they are present in fixed quantity. So in quantization of charges, charges are always present in fixed quantity, and its definition states that electric charges on a body is always an integral multiple of the smallest discrete value of charge, which is called quanta of charge. And this smallest discrete value of charge is charge of electron. And what is the charge of electron? The charge of electron equals to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. So all the charges which are present in a body are the integral multiple of this basic unit of charge, and the formula for it is Q equal to plus minus Ne, because charge can be positive or negative, whereas mass is always positive. I have told you there are fundamental properties of matter. Charge and mass both are the fundamental properties, whereas charge can exist in positive and negative while mass is always positive. I hope this point is clear to you. I hope first property makes sense to you, that what is quantization of charge. Quantization of charge means charges are always present in a fixed quantity and they are given by a relation Q equal to plus minus Ne. What is Q? Q is charge. What is N? N is integral multiple which starts from 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. And what is E? E is charge of electron, which is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. These charges are always be in integral form. They are either minus 1, 2, minus 2, 3, but they can't be 2 by 3 because it is a decimal form. It is not an integers form. So charges are always in the integral multiple of the basic unit of charge, which is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb charge of electron. So our second property is conservation of charge. We have studied what conservation means. Conservation means something can neither be created nor be destroyed. Same like charge can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one body to another, or equal and opposite charges can appear or disappear. So what does this conservation of charge means? We know that charge can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one body to another. How does this happen? So when we talk about conservation of charge, we means to say that when we have a glass rod and a silk cloth, they both are neutral because the number of electrons and protons in both these are equal. When I rub this glass rod on silk, what will happen? A phenomena of friction will occur. They will be rubbed like this, and some of the charges from this glass rod gets transferred to the silk, making glass rod positively charged. And since some of the electrons are transferred to the silk, so electron is negatively charged. What does negatively charged or positively charged means? Negatively charged means excess of electron, whereas positively charged means deficiency of electron. Whenever there is an excess of electron, if there is 5 electron and there are 10 electron, it requires 5 electron to be in neutral state, but I have given 5 extra electrons, so it is said to be negatively charged, because there are excess of electron in negatively charged species and there is a deficiency of electron in positively charged species. So they both are neutral. If I see this completely, they are neutral, because if there is lack of 10 electrons are present here, so the whole system is electrically neutral, but some of its charges are transferred. So I can say that I can neither create or destroy a charge. I have not created any charge here. I have transferred charge from glass to the silk. You cannot create or destroy a charge. You can always, what you can do, transfer a charge. So what is quantization and what is conservation of charge is clear to you. And now our third property is invariance of charge. The word invariance of charge means charge does not changes with speed. This concept is quite new to you. So When we talk about change with speed, we means to say that value can change with the speed. When we talk about mass, Einstein gave us a relation which was m is equal to m naught under root 1 minus v square by c square. Einstein gave us a relation which was m is equal to m naught 1 minus v square by c square, where m is mass of moving body, m naught is rest mass, v is speed of body, and c is speed of light. So if I keep on increasing the speed of the object, if this speed keeps on increasing, the ratio will become 1, because we know that none of the speed can be more than the speed of light, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. I can approach to this speed, but my speed can't be more than the speed of light. If I approach this speed, the ratio of v square by c square approaches to 1. So this ratio 1 minus 1 is 0 is increasing, because 1 by 0 is infinity. So mass of moving object tends to infinity. If v tends to if v approaches to the speed of light, the mass of moving object will approaches to infinity. This was the case with the mass, but we know that charge does not changes with the speed. This is what invariance of charge means. Charge invariance refers to the fixed value of the charge of a particle regardless of the speed. It means the charges which are at rest and the charges which are at motion are always equal. If 20 coulomb charge is at rest, it will be 20 coulomb. If it is in motion, if it is moving with the speed of light, its value is always 20 coulomb. So this is what invariance of charge means. It does not changes with the speed. So we have studied 3 properties. What are these properties? First was quantization of charge, which states that charges are present in a fixed quantity q equal to Ne. Second was conservation of charge, which states that charge can neither be created nor be destroyed. And third was invariance of charge, which means charge does not changes with the speed. Moving on, our fourth property. Our fourth property is unlike charges attract and charge like charges repel each other. This is the basic property which we have studied from class 6th or 7th, that unlike attract, likes repel. So we have a figure over here. What does happen in this figure? We have brought 2 charges, positive and negative charges. What is happening? When we put these charges to a distance, these both positive charges will repel and this positive and negative charges will attract. So this is what happening here. Like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. So our next property is charge is a scalar quantity. What is a charge? Charge is a scalar quantity, and you have studied 2 types of quantities. First is scalar, second is vectors. What is a scalar quantities? Those quantities which has only magnitude and does not depends upon direction are called scalar quantities. So they have only magnitude, that does not depends on the direction. Next we have additivity of charges. Since charges are scalar quantity, they will add up like real numbers. The net charge is the algebraic sum of all the charges present in the system. Suppose I have a system over here and I have 5 charges, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. So what will be the overall charge over here is Q equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Q4 plus Q5. If we assign some magnitudes to them, let us say Q1 is 1, Q2 is -2, Q3 is 3, Q4 is 1 and Q5 is -2. So what is the overall charge? -2 -2 -4, 3 plus 1 4, so this will become 0. So the net charge will be 1 coulomb. So they add up like real number. The total charge is the algebraic sum of all the charges present in the system. Lastly, so we have a question over here: how many electrons are present in 1 coulomb of charge? When we speak about 1 coulomb of charge, we have a formula Q equal to NE. So this value is 1. What is the value of Q? Q's value is 1. We have to find the number of electrons, and the charge of electron is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. When we calculate n is 1 upon 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, and this comes out to be 6.25 into 10 to the power 18. How will this happen? Is 1 by 1.6 into 10 to the power 19. So we can write it as 10 by 16 into 10 to the power 19. When we divide it, we will get 0.625 into 10 to the power 19, and it will come out to be 6.25 into 10 to the power 18. So how many electrons are present in 1 coulomb charge? So the number of charges present in 1 coulomb is 6.25 into 10 to the power 18 electrons. I hope this question is clear to you. Now moving on, we have another topic, which is Coulomb's law. What is Coulomb's law? Coulomb stated that when we have two charges, Q1 and Q2, and they are separated by a distance, let us say R, what will happen when two charges are separated by a distance R? Then the force between these two charges, because we have two charges, they have a force of either attraction or repulsion. This force is proportional to the product of charges, and this force is inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. So it states that the electric force of interaction between two charged particles at rest is directly proportional to the product of the two charges and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. So we have a figure, we have two charges Q1 and Q2 separated by a distance d. So its force is proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. When we substitute it by equals to, we get a proportionality constant, and this constant is K. So we have a electrostatic force which is F is equal to K Q1 Q2 by R square. What is K? K is a proportionality constant. K is proportionality constant, and the value of K is 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. How will you get this equation? By K is equal to Fr square by Q1 Q2. What is the unit of F? Newton. What is the unit of R? Meter. Square. Charge is Coulomb, so the unit is Newton meter square per Coulomb square. Now I would like to ask you one thing, which is what will happen if both the charges are of 1 coulomb? If Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to 1 coulomb and R is 1 meter, what is the value of force? How much force will be applied if two charges are 1 coulomb and they are separated by 1 meter? Then what will you do? F is equal to K Q1 Q2 upon R square, which is 9 into 10 to the power 9, 1 into 1 upon 1 square, and it comes out to be 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton. How much force is applied when two charges of 1 coulomb are separated by 1 meter? 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton. I hope this topic and Coulomb's law are clear to you. You will learn about Coulomb's law in your higher classes in 11th and in 12th. In electrostatic part you will study it in detail. Just I am giving you just brief introduction of Coulomb's law because we are studying about charges at rest. If you look this equation closely, you will find there is a you have studied this equation in somewhere else also. It is quite similar to some equation which we have studied, which was like this. What is this equation? This is the equation of gravitational force. What is the value of gravitational force? G m1 m2 upon r square. And for Coulomb's law, it applies on the charges. So the equation is k q1 q2 by r square. Here you have done the product of masses. Here you do product of charges, inversely proportional to the square of distance, inversely proportional to the square of distance. I hope Coulomb's law is clear to you. Now we will move on to our next topic, and our next topic is study of electricity. When we talk about study of electricity, the study of electricity is divided into two categories. The first category which we study is static electricity. Static electricity means we are studying the charges at rest. You have done this practically in your day-to-day life. When you were small, you have rubbed the balloon with a hair or with a wool. When you attract it, when you take it towards the tap, the water falling is straight, but when you make it closer, it will bend towards the balloon. Or you can, when you rub this balloon on your head and when you stick it, it sticks to the wall. This is due to the static electricity. Secondly, we study about current electricity. What we study? Current electricity, which deals with charges in motion. As you can see, the charges, electrons are in motion, they are moving. When the charges are in motion, they are said to be current electricity, and when the charges are at rest, they are said to be static electricity. What is happening here is, when he rubs this balloon gets positively, or we can say negatively charged, and this charges stays on this balloon. So it attracts the uncharged particle or the oppositively charged particle. So this is what static electricity, and when charges are in motion, we talk about current electricity. I hope study of electricity is clear to you. Now we will head on to our next topic, which are conductors and insulators. Generally there are three categories: conductors, insulators and semiconductors. We are not going to study about semiconductors. We are going to study only about conductors and insulators. When we talk about conductor, what does conductor mean? Any material or substance which allow electricity to pass through them are called conductors. Those substances which allow electric charges to flow through them are called conductors. Examples are all metals, graphite, aqueous solution of salts are the examples of conductors. When we talk about insulator, these substances will not allow electric charges to pass through them. Those substances which do not allow charges to flow through them are called insulator. Examples are rubber, glass, plastic, porcelain, wood. That's why when we are dealing with electrical appliances, we wear rubber shoes to avoid electric current. So when you talk about the charges, when you have different types of material, what is copper? Copper is a conductor. And what is glass? Glass is an insulator. And this is what? This is semiconductor. So what is happening in metals? You can see these electrons can easily pass through them. In semiconductors, some of the electrons, they have abundant quantity, or you can say excess of electron can pass. In semiconductors, some electron can pass, whereas here you can't see here you can see the motion of electron. These electrons motion are not present in this insulator. So insulator does not allow the flow of electron. It is like a gum. When charge go through it, it sticks. It can't move forward. So it does not allow electron to pass through them. Which substances does not allow? Insulators does not allow. And which allows are called conductors. I hope conductors and insulators are clear to you. Now we will study about our last topic, which is electric current, charges in motion. So when we talk about electric current, what is electric current? the rate of flow of electric charge through any cross section of a conductor is called electric current. Suppose I have a conductor. What is the area of cross section? If current is moving from here, this portion, the area of this portion will be called the cross sectional area. Okay, I don't have to calculate rest of the areas because my current is moving in this direction, so I have to calculate the area in which it will flow. So the rate of flow of electric charge through any cross sectional of a conductor is called electric current. It is denoted by I is equal to Q upon T, where I is electric current, Q is charge, T is time. What is the SI unit of current? The SI unit is ampere. What is the SI unit? The SI unit is ampere. As you can see here, these charges are flowing in a conductor. These charges are flowing, and the time by which the charge flow is called electric current. And one more interesting thing is the direction of current. The direction of current is always taken from the positive to negative, whereas the flow of electron is taken from the negative to positive. I hope these points are clear to you. So when we talk about electric current, we have some of its property. So the first property is current is a fundamental quantity. Generally we have 7 fundamental quantities, and electric current is a part of these 7 quantities. So it is a fundamental quantities, and it is measured in ampere. 1 ampere. What is 1 ampere? 1 ampere is the current flowing in the current circuit if 1 coulomb charge move across it in 1 second. Because I is equal to Q upon T, if Q is 1 coulomb and time is 1 second, what is current? Current is 1 ampere. Current is 1 ampere. So we can say 1 ampere is equal to 1 coulomb upon 1 second. And the direction of conventional current is taken to be the direction of flow of positive charges, because I have told you charges, electron flow from negative to positive and current flow from positive to negative. So the direction of positive charges will be from positive to negative. So direction of current is the direction flow of positive charges, or opposite to the charges of flow of electron. As you can see here, electron are moving from negative to positive. What will be the direction of current? Direction of current will be from positive to negative. Direction of current will be from positive to negative, since the direction of flow of electron is from negative to positive. Lastly, we have a conductor remains uncharged when current flows through it. This is what? This is a wire which is connected to a bulb, and wires are made up of metals. So metals are the conductors. So when current is passing through it, they won't charge the wire. The wire will not be charged. The wire will always remains uncharged when current flows through the wire. So I've studied about 4 properties. First is current is a fundamental property. It is measured in ampere. 1 ampere is equal to 1 coulomb per second. Direction of current is opposite to the direction of flow of electron and in the direction of flow of positive charges, and conductor remains uncharged when flows through it. So our next property is, for a given conductor, the current flowing through it does not vary as its cross-sectional areas vary. Suppose we have a conductor like this. Its area is changing while the current flowing in this area won't change as the area is changing. So for a given conductor, the current flowing through the conductor does not vary as the cross-sectional area varies. Next we have, when 1 ampere current flows through a conductor, then 6.25 into 10 to the power 8 electrons per second flows across any cross section of the conductor. I hope this is clear to you. What is this? We have told you I is equal to Q upon T. So if Q is equal to 1 coulomb, how many electrons flow? We have done a numerical and states that 6.25 into 10 to the power 18 electrons flow. So how many electron will flow in 1 coulomb? We can say in 1 coulomb 6.25 into 10 to the power 18 electrons will flow, and for 1 ampere they will flow in 1 second. So in 1 ampere 6.25 into 10 to the power 18 electrons flows per second. Next we have electric circuit is a conductor is set up due to organized motion of free electrons on applying an external source. What is happening over here is we have a conductor, and in conductor the motion of electrons are always random. They always flow in the random direction. While when we apply an external source and potentials are applied by using battery, positive terminal and negative terminal, positive are at high potential and negative are at low potential. So what will happen? They will align in a straight line and move in a straight line. I hope the properties of electric currents are also clear to you. Now we are going to end our session here. I hope you have learned something new in this session. We will meet in our next session with something more new topics apart from our NCERT syllabus. In the end, I would like to tell you, keep studying, keep practicing, and thank you.